Vibes what got real bad at the same time that home sales really fell off. Probably the most popular chart I've made maybe ever that I put on LinkedIn and I show it. Speaking engagements is why is everyone so mad all the time in one chart? And it compares wage growth since 2021, shelter prices, so rent or ownership housing, and food. And so wages have gone up 20% since 2021, but food and shelter have gone up 30%. Their paychecks growing, but they're not getting ahead on like basic items. And I think that's like the underlying economic anxiety for a lot of this. It's just the price level went up a lot. Even though inflation's back under control, things are still really expensive. That just kind of weighs on people. I was looking for something besides like, I probably talked about the economic policy uncertainty index, uncertainty flying off the axes, but it just doesn't explain that much. So it's like, well, what else is going on? I found a bunch of data. The Bank of Canada does a survey of consumer expectations. So they ask people things like, what's the probability you're going to lose your job in the next 12 months? And that's at like 20% right now. The only time it's ever been higher was during the first quarter of last year during the tariff uncertainty, but it's still almost at that same level. So right now, a fifth of Canadians think there's a 20% chance they might lose their job this year. You don't go and buy a house. And who knows what that is? Maybe that's still tariff uncertainty. Maybe it's AI, but it's a real thing. And then also in that survey is like asking about how they would rate their financial health, what are their plans, kind of consumer spending over the next year, how do they rate the labor market. So basically I took the policy uncertainty index and a bunch of that Bank of Canada survey data, and I performed like a statistical procedure on it to extract a trend. And I just call that vibes because I'm not a very serious person. But it does correlate really well with home sales. It explains about 25% of home sales over the past 10 years. Vibes what got real bad at the same time that home sales really fell off. So maybe there's something to that, but it is based in like, how are people feeling? And they're not feeling great about the prospects for the economy or their own kind of financial situation. There's this Arthur Okun, who's a really famous economist, coined this really elegant kind of definition of misery. Misery equals inflation plus the unemployment rate. So like if you don't have a job and prices are rising, pretty good recipe for misery. Our vibes index correlates really well with the misery index, except for 2024. So whatever we're getting in vibes is not necessarily just the economy. There's something else going on. Is it the overall price level? Is it housing affordability? Is it Trump? It's something that's not in the economic data currently is affecting people. And I'm sure you guys see this all the time, talking to clients. Like, there's not feeling great about the state of the economy, the state of the world. Who knows?